This week, Matthew interviews Chagit founders and brothers Prima and Tulsi Ball and their business partner, Doug Kraft, the Shroomsmen. Meet the Hollywood trio that has found the groundbreaking formula to help bring the chaga mushroom's powerful benefits to the masses. They're all about making the best product possible through education and understanding, and doing it because they care.
Thanks for inviting me today. It was LA Idea World last year, wasn't it, that we first met?
It was.
And,
we were in Vegas, right?
That was it, yeah.
We were in Vegas.
Yeah. And I think the story was it was about the second day in. I'd arrived from the UK, not really had too much to eat or too much to sleep, and I was scouring around for some energy drinks to sort of give it a boost. And I think somehow I must have, you guys caught my attention.
I reeled you in. I think I saw you a little bit low and down and out, so you point to the mushroom.
Yeah.
You point to the mushroom that kind of reels you in.
Yeah.
Well, and the great thing about it is it's got a natural energy source that, as opposed to kind of speeding you up and then crashing you down, it is one of those that increases your blood flow. So, and I think also when I talked to you originally, it is great for getting over jet lag.
Right.
So it has a great kind of component for anybody who travels a lot. It knocks out jet lag and just kind of resets your body.
Yeah.
Right, because you had just had flown in, right?
Yeah, pretty soon, and I remember having it, and I was instantly, I felt pretty good, and I grabbed Tommy, one of the trainers, and he came over, and before we knew it, we had boxes of them. So so that was our first experience with it. But what would be good is just tell us a little bit about background on each of you and how you met each other.
I guess I'll start because theirs is similar.
Yeah.
Personal trainer for 20 years, so trained many people in the industry, athletes alike, producers, directors, all that kind of good stuff. But it was in my blood.
Right.
But I also acted for many years, did a bunch of commercials.
Right.
Mainly commercials, a few guest spots here and there. But
well, inside you was on which side of the camera?
I was on the acting side.
Oh, okay.
Acting a fool, mostly, but I was pretty good at that. So we are really fun guys, I guess, in a natural sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are my two best friends. So
okay.
We had met. How long has it been?
19 years.
19 years.
Right. Okay.
When I was acting and training.
Yeah, well, actually, it was right after he showed up. I think it was probably the second place that you got when you moved to Hollywood was with a good buddy of ours named Josh Green, and Josh lived in a house on Flores, 402 North Flores, and he had moved in with Josh, and so the first day that we met, it was like, oh, this is my new roommate. And it was like, cool, all right, and then 15, 16 years of just hanging out and being friends and not being involved in business together, we ended up in this venture together after all that time. But the roots of it come from quite a few nights raging around Hollywood and looking for trouble.
I'll add to that. Like I already had another place, but then one of my clients said, hey, my trainer is moving out of this house.
Yeah.
And then there's I said, well, I just got a new place. And she goes, well, y'all check it out. Josh is a really nice guy, this and that. And so I went over there and just paid money, whatever it was, expensive at the time. It's so expensive now. And I get there and Josh is playing guitar and he was an artist. And then he said, oh, just hang out. First thing he does is he grabs a beer for me. He says, hey, let me show you around a little bit. I'm going to have a few friends over later. So we're all singing, playing guitar, having a beer. And I was like this. I just paid for another place. He goes, I need a roommate. I really need somebody now. I was like, all right. So I just moved to the spot, and within a couple days later, these guys are helping me in a writer truck, moving into a new place.
Yeah.
So I think that we hit it off like that.
Yeah, we did, and I'll tell you what Doug brought to the table day one is he bought the hot tub.
Oh, really?
He bought the hot tub, and literally there was no way. He got this hot tub, and there was no way.
I found it on Craigslist in Vegas. They said given away for free, so I rented a truck, drove to Vegas in the middle of the night. Had some fun with my friend, and then I brought back the hot tub, and they're like, day 2, here comes this hot tub. We're ripping down the fence.
We had to wait. So we had like 5 guys lifting a hot tub over a fence and down into this little spot in the courtyard in the house. And it was pretty awesome. At that point, we were like, all right, you know what? I mean, that's done.
I guess it's part of the group.
Within 2 days, when the guys get in a hot tub together, you become friends.
Yeah.
That's just
Kind of no choice at that point.
So what about you guys? You weren't personal trainers, I guess.
No, my brother and I, we grew up actually in a religious commune, a Hindu commune. So it's where the names come from.
Right.
Our parents were
in
hippies.
the US?
Yeah, in the US,
Right.
in Northern California. Our parents were hippies, and then they went the step further and completely renounced all worldly goods and joined a commune and raised us. We were Hare Krishna. So, my mom was George Harrison's chef when we were kids, and we had a very unusual upbringing in that. But when we kind of came out into the world, there was a big kind of storytelling facet to the movement,
right,
and to everything that we were involved with, and so we kind of naturally went into the film and television business.
Right.
I was on the front side of the camera as an actor, and
I was a director and a writer.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And what sort of anything popular that you're producing or creating? Or?
I would say that my first ever job was my first ever acting job was on My So-Called Life, which was a show with Claire Danes, and it was Claire Danes' first role. She was 13 and I was 19, and I played the camp counselor that seduced her and gave her her first kiss. Acting was a lot of fun, but it also was a very a very uneven lifestyle.
Right.
And
what do you mean?
Well, just in terms of you never know where your next job is coming from.
And also, you're a jack of all trades. When you're an actor, so you're an actor, you're a personal trainer, you're aspiring writer. You know.
Yeah, you do a lot of different things, and after a while of not necessarily knowing what my next job was going to be, he had been pretty firmly forging forward on the production side and had a very solid job, was head of development for a booming company, and was like, well, when are you going to stop bartending and acting at the same time and come work with me as a storyteller? And that's what we had always done was we'd been writing scripts together and had a couple that had gone out there that had sold. They never got made, but they got sold. Actually, one of them did get made. It got made, but they made it without telling us, and then we sued them to stop the production. Just typical stuff that happens in Hollywood.
But the first project we did do together was the guy I moved in with, Josh. We co-wrote, produced, and directed his music video.
Yeah, so we did.
If you listeners want to check it out, it's called "Dance with Me" by Josh Green. It's still on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
It is. Yeah. It's a very good song and a damn good music video. We're pretty proud of it. And so we did a lot of stuff like that, and but his company was busy doing some really big TV shows, and I'll throw it over to you for that because he's the one who brought me in there.
Yeah, so about I guess that goes back around almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
That I started working for that company. We did quite a number of television shows, big projects for a lot of the networks: CMT, Discovery Channel, History Channel, Nat Geo. And then, so Tulsi, I brought him in to come and start working on some of our projects because he had a great handle on story, always has. Super smart and super sharp, and I enjoyed working with him, so I thought it was a natural move. So once we got started, he worked there for a couple of years, and then we decided enough of this to start working on our own projects.
Right.
Because we started coming up with ideas, a lot of things that we wanted to take on, and it's not necessarily working for somebody else isn't exactly what we wanted to do. We've always had the spirit of wanting to do our own projects, so wanted to do our own things.
Right.
So we went out and started hunting down our own television projects and sold a few, made a few.
Yeah.
Lost a few.
Lost a few. The nature of this business is that it's really a tough business. I mean, of all the different things you could possibly get into, the entertainment industry
it's pretty cutthroat.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
The benefits and the rewards you get from it are tremendous, but the pitfalls along the way are numerous and almost too many to count.
Right.
And you end up stepping in just about every single one of them. But it's honestly, I wouldn't have wanted to do anything else. It was a great passion for both of our lives, and it brought us.
It geared us towards this.
Yeah. It actually is why we are here today.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it brought us to this mushroom.
How did you change your passion then to do something that was probably
I
equally as
tell the
difficult.
story great, but
I'm
sometimes
gonna tell the story 'cause you
sometimes
weren't
my
there.
version's skewed. So
You weren't there though.
Yeah,
You're not there yet. You came in a couple months
Right,
later. So, you know, the way we worked is that basically because my brother's married and has kids and I'm single, I was road dog. So he would, you know, we would come up with the shows together, and then I was the one who had to spend months on the road in Alaska and in Louisiana and in wherever else we were shooting, while he, for the most part, ran the home office and post-production. I would run production on the road. So we had a presence in many of the places that we had shows already, and we're constantly looking to cast and put together new shows. And one of those places was Alaska. We've had several shows in Alaska that have done really well and are still on the network on Discovery Channel and you know been very successful for them. So we had a presence in Alaska, and we were exploring other shows there. And a guy who has now become a very good friend of ours is Larry Dean Smith, partner in the company. We met in Alaska. I met in Alaska, and he was talking to me about ideas for shows, and we'd gone through a couple of the different ideas for shows, and they didn't quite work out. But he was like, "Hey, have you guys heard about the chaga mushroom?" And I'm like, "What's chaga?" And he's like, "Well, it's this crazy medicinal mushroom that these guys are out hunting."
and that's a pretty good version of Larry's
That's
voice.
Larry. Yeah, well,
He's
Larry's
from
from
South
He's
Carolina.
from South Carolina, yeah. Larry's from South Carolina. It's just like, we got this crazy mushroom, and these guys are hunting it, and they're making a bunch of money selling it in China and in Japan and South Korea. And, you know, they're out there fighting bears and dealing with the wilderness and moose and stuff like that. And we're like, well, that would make a great TV show. So Prema and I started developing the show, and we started putting together our cast from the network of harvesters that are up there that harvest the mushroom.
Right.
And it was about the same time that I had gotten a piece of news from my doctor that I was starting to have a little bit of liver dysfunction. My liver was functioning at about half of its capacity. A side effect of spending 25 years making television on the road and doing 18-hour days. And the only way that I would get to sleep at night was having some whiskey. So I fully admit, because I'm 100% clean and sober now, and I'm very proud of that. But I would go to sleep, and I would need some alcohol to be able to wind down at the end of my day, and that took a toll after all those years of doing it. So my doctor told me I had to quit drinking, and I was like, okay, well, I have to do that, but my liver still isn't functioning right. And Prema, meanwhile, had been doing research on what the actual medicinal benefits of the mushroom were, and one of them is liver detoxification. So, you know, I came in the morning as I usually would, and you know, we had a couple other shows we were developing, and one of them had just failed. And so I was a little broken up about that, but I came in the morning, and I would have liver pain every morning. And I had pain in my side. Some mornings it would be worse than others, and I would have to like literally curl up in the corner, and I couldn't move for a half an hour to an hour at a time. And he's like, you know, we made some tea from that mushroom from one of the harvesters that we've been casting. He's like, you should try it. Maybe it'll help out. I drank the tea, and within 5 minutes, my pain was gone. And I was like, what is that? And so it actually kind of recalled a little bit of my initial education when I went to college before I dropped out to be an actor and a filmmaker. I'd been a pre-med with a minor in botany.
Right.
So it fed right into my wheelhouse of what is this? Let me do the research on it. And I started researching it. We started looking at it and realized that it was a mushroom that was almost completely unknown to the Western world. The Russians had done quite a bit of research on it, but nobody really had. There was nobody who knew anything about it. There was no knowledge about it, and it is incredibly beneficial. It has 215 different components in it. 14 of them are not found anywhere else in nature, and one of them is effective in reducing the metastasis of 65% of the cancers on the planet. So it is
According to Russian research.
According to Russian research, we can't. That's not our research. That's been found in Russia, Japan, Korea, China, Germany, and in Finland. There've been over 700 studies that have been done on the mushroom, including several in the United States. But there's just the knowledge of it is just starting to percolate out through the Western world.
Right.
And
just in looking up the chaga mushroom, what you told me, it's gone up like 400% or 500%
Yeah.
in searches.
in searches, so the interest in the mushroom and the research on the mushroom has expanded exponentially in the last couple of years. But when we first found it, there was no way to get a hold of it except if we called our harvesters we were making the show with and got some from them. It would take 4 weeks for them to get us some down from Alaska. There was no products on the market. There was just nothing out there. And so we were like, at that point, we had a discussion. We're like, we need to share this with people. This is phenomenal. It has amazing benefits. There's nothing on the market. If we can make something, and that was the other thing, is it's really hard to make something good out of it. If you look at the mushroom,
it's a nightmare process.
Yeah.
Right. Stuff is on the hardness scale. It's like a 9, which is just shy of a diamond.
Oh,
so
right.
breaking it and making anything useful out of it is an absolute nightmare. And when my wife and I were making the tea initially, we'd spend 6 hours a day because you have to keep it at a certain level and let it brew over the period of time, so you didn't destroy any of the components within it.
Right.
So it was a real nightmare. As great as the benefits were, finding it, getting it, processing it, and making anything useful out of it was an absolute.
And they do call it the diamond of the forest.
Crazy journey. So.
Right. So you just to back up slightly then. So you had the tea. You thought it was obviously did something for you. You thought it was great, and you were that you came into your mind is how can you sort of get this out to more people? Is that kind of
actually the initial thought was how can we get more for ourselves?
Right. Okay.
Because
me.
well, yeah, that's where you start out.
Yeah.
I mean, our sister was fighting breast cancer at the time.
Right.
We had other family members and good friends that were fighting cancer as well, and among that line also there are people that we knew, including his family, that had digestive issues, IBS, things like that. So
Right.
we wanted to get something that was that maximized the mushroom and would be something that we could use for ourselves.
Yeah.
So our first effort was to just heal ourselves.
Okay.
And toward that end, we got as much of the mushroom as we could. We started trying to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
And there was no real easy way to make something great out of it. So.
And did you have people who were teaching you how to do the teas and stuff? Or
Well,
A lot of it came from YouTube videos.
Right.
Just searching online because there are people now will tell you how to do anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some of it's good, some of it's not. But we watched a lot of videos, different people in terms of processing, as well as speaking to our harvesters and them telling us, well, this is how we process it, this is how we use it traditionally, this is how the Inuit would use it for the people that live where it grows traditionally.
Right.
So. Yeah, we had a lot of knowledge, but not any clear focus is exactly what we wanted to do
Right.
with it.
And what you were just getting, they were shipping you like
Just raw,
some of this.
just raw chunks of mushroom.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, like you said, it's not easy to get. Like our particular guys, he could probably rattle off like the exact, but they have to go over what? There's no roads.
Yeah.
There's
well,
no
that's the
roads.
thing.
That they wait for a river to freeze over. They got ATVs. I mean, and
It has to be harvested in the middle of winter when it's negative 20.
You can't harvest it in the summer.
Right.
So it's a wintertime harvest, and it only grows to full potency in negative 30 to negative 40 degrees. So you're talking Fairbanks Plateau, wintertime, frozen rivers. It is a brutal product to harvest for them. So as far as raw material, it is not easy to get to.
Right.
There's a lot of it out there, but it's in very, very remote regions, and the only way to get there is by snowmobile.
Right.
So that's the difficulty in procuring the raw material. But and that kind of came into play in the development of the show. But when we started realizing that there was potential for more than that, we had interest from Discovery Channel. We shelved the show.
Right.
So we took the show that we were making about it, we shelved it, we put that away, and we have a friend named Damian Watkins, and he's got a PhD from UCLA. He is an absolutely brilliant biochemist. And
a nice guy.
And a really nice guy. He's built a completely self-sufficient, off-the-grid resort on the North Shore of Hawaii, and he's got a lab there, and it's just an absolutely stunning place. So we contacted Damien, and we're like, Damien, we need to figure out how to make the best product we can from this mushroom. What do we do?
How can we extract the most out of this bad?
Yeah, how do we get the most out of it? It's like we didn't know at that point that we were going to make a company out of it.
Right.
You know, we had an inkling that we could do something with it, but you know, just because there was a wide open vacuum for the market, there's no knowledge of this thing. There was zero market.
Yeah.
It's like we can create a market and be the first into it if we can do the right thing. So. You know, Damien's like, yeah, you know, if you just get me access to the deep dive on the research, and I'll research all the Russian papers, and I'll translate them, and I'll figure out what we need to do. You guys got to go to Alaska and get me some mushrooms. So that's when we called him,
Right.
and
Okay.
we're like, because at that point,
Well, we wanted to do another project together beyond that, and I just wasn't begging, but I love training. I love helping people out. I love this, but I was just ready for something new. And I'd already given up the acting at that point because I just lost my passion for it. And I was still training and had a thriving business. Like I was a very sought after trainer. And I was like, guys, like I just want, and they just said, like, and I remember it was at this house. And a flashback, Damon was part of that whole crew. He was having fun with us and drinking beers at that corner house. That corner house
yeah, at 402
had a lot of
Flores.
relationships.
Way back when.
Including one of our ambassadors. We'll get to that later, but Clayton Crawford started Lethal Weapon. I mean, it's just, it tells a lot of stories.
Yeah.
But I remember you asked me in the kitchen, you're like, it's going to sound weird, but we came across something, and this is if you said you were looking for a project for us, I think this is the one.
Yeah, and well, our reaching out to him really was about the fact that he's got a knowledge of nutrition, because he's got a degree in nutrition, and that's part of one of the reasons why he's such a great personal trainer.
Right.
So when we wanted someone's opinion on and expertise in the field of nutrition, and in being able to
facilitate it to clients,
to get it directly to an initial client base.
Right.
And we also knew that his family had problems with digestive issues. So there was kind of multiple reasons why we came together and why we said, okay, we're going to be going to Alaska to go get these mushrooms so we can bring them down to Hawaii to go make a formula.
Now, mind
do
you-
you want to come with us?
Right, but when he's saying this, and I said, when are we leaving? 6 days.
Yeah.
6 days, and we were on a
Little flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
We were. We flew up to Alaska. 6 days. I mean, and we rented a rider trip.
Well, that was the second trip.
Oh, that was the second trip.
The second trip, yeah. So the first trip we went up there. We met with a couple of guys. We met with one guy that was a friend of Larry's, who was a harvester, and we got mushrooms from him. And then we flew down to Hawaii, and we were in Hawaii for a couple of weeks with Damien, and he developed the process. So he had been working on his own, and said, I know how to get, I have an idea, I know how to get everything out of this. He's like, what we're gonna have to do is take dried mushroom and then resaturate it and use a couple of different ways and processes to get it to the right temperature, and then we can cold pressurize it and we can squeeze it into a juice. The best way to get everything out of this is going to be as a juice. It's going to have the highest bioavailability and the highest amount of the components without actually directly trying to isolate the individual ones.
Right.
You want to get a holistic approach so that you can get the most of everything. You get the full spectrum of the benefits that are in it.
So it's better than the tea, which was the original thought. Is that?
And the tea is wonderful. This is just a new and different and better bioavailability. The highest.
Well, it's the highest bioavailability, but also the mushroom is 40% hydrophobic. So 40% of it is lipid based.
Doesn't like water.
It doesn't. It will
okay.
not extract with water.
Right.
So we had to. That's why you'll see there are some tinctures on the market that are alcohol based, but they're only getting at the 40% that's lipid.
Right.
So we had to design a
There
method.
was a lot left on the table.
Yeah, exactly. They're leaving a lot on the table, and then the other factor is that 20% of it is extremely sensitive to heat. So if it ever goes over 85 degrees, that percentage of it is completely destroyed. And the most beneficial anti-cancer properties, the ones that create apoptosis, which is betulin and betulinic acid, those particular compounds are destroyed at 85 degrees. So anyone who's making a tea out of it is losing those.
Right.
They're gone. They're gone immediately. And we've since found out from the Inuit several of their secrets that they didn't only make a tea out of it, they actually make a cold extraction that takes them all winter to make. They literally take the mushroom and they drop it into water and then let that water block freeze outside throughout the entire winter time. And then when it thaws out in the spring, they take that cold thaw and that's what they drink first. That's their anti-cancer aspect. That's how they're getting the cold pressurization. We obviously couldn't do something that took 6 months in a frozen Alaska environment in order to make a product. You're not going to be able to mass produce a product for that. So we had to design a process that took all of those things into account, and that's where Damien's genius came in first. We went out to Hawaii. He was like, okay, we're going to do this process, and it took us a couple of weeks to get through it. It still takes us a couple of weeks to do the process, but we ran through it, and I was the guinea pig who tasted it first. And we were in this absolutely stunning location in Hawaii, and I drank it, and I swear, it just instantly lit me up, and I went out and I was dancing around his pool, just like, ah! It is amazing. I still get goosebumps thinking about it because it was a revelation. I was like, this is phenomenal. You did it, Damien. Thank you. And we've been since then. It's been 3 years since that time.
Okay, right.
And and we've obviously gone through perfection on that process. And my personal knowledge, I might as well have gotten a degree in biochemistry at this point, because I've been back and forth with our lead engineer Paul and the FDA and the CDPH and all of that, bringing to what we're now able to bring to market, which is a perfected product.
Right.
So
you worked out how to extract it, which was a big challenge to solve in itself. How then? What was the next step? So you managed to get this juice.
Well, I'll say this too. In retrospect, like he had mentioned something about my sisters, but it was getting it out to the people, and we're still having, he has a revelation like that, and then the wheels start turning on the entrepreneurial spirit, which is what you were asking about, bringing me in. Can we get it to more people? Now we have this wonderful formula, and my sisters just happen to be visiting. Not far out. We had these just old little white bottles, not old little white bottles, but little white bottles, just like our beginning thing when it had black and white.
Make it in our garage.
Make it in the garage with that little black and white Chagit sticker on it. But they just happened to come in town. My mom's 80th birthday, I flew them in for the birthday, this and that, and I just had samples.
Right.
And they were staying with me for 10 days. And I mean, no questions asked. They've been dealing with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis their whole entire lives.
Wow.
So they're a generation ahead of me. That was not a mistake, but it skipped me. So I didn't deal with that, but I saw them suffer their whole entire lives. None of them maintained over 100 pounds because they just couldn't. The inflammation for them was so bad. And again, this is just speaking from experience. Just a few days in, they instantly felt a relief, and it was just a matter of time, approximately 90 days, to where they just didn't take synthetic medicine anymore. But I was beyond sold. When you see that, and then you sit there, my sisters, there's testimonials.
When it helps your
family. It gives me goosebumps too. It's just like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, do I need to go to Alaska? Are we moving to Alaska? Let's do this.
Well, at that point, we said, okay, and this is Prema's direction for us, and I'll let him take over on this, because he was like, we need to make a decision, and I think that this is the future. And so he was the lead on this, which was
this harebrained idea of building a company out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess with anything else in any other industry, when you have something that you can, that is worth selling, that has a value to it, taking that and actually building something around and being able to sell it and make it towards a profitable venture, that's an enormous challenge.
Yeah.
We're still working on that.
Yeah.
But we did decide that the entertainment industry, as he said, is very volatile. We wanted to create something that was stable, something that actually brought benefit not only to ourselves, but to other people as well.
Right.
And not that our company is purely just out there for charity, but we wanted to make sure that something that we were doing was actually bringing benefit to other people's lives.
Right.
We weren't purely in it to just facilitate our own monetization needs. So we were
excited about it.
We were very excited about it. Obviously, it would have enormous benefits for us on a personal level, and for our families on a personal level. But so we reached out to a couple of friends just to start putting together what would be the idea of a business plan, what we could actually do with this, and what kind of a market we could create with it, who we could go after with it. And it was quite a challenge, honestly.
It was. I remember talking about the market. Who's our demo? Okay.
Well,
helps
I
so
mean,
many people.
something that makes them
18 to
healthy.
18 to 80.
Really,
And
everyone.
then is it 18 to 80 or is
Yeah.
it 21 to this? But it's just I think it has different facets of different age groups because it does help many people in many different ways.
Yeah.
So what did you do? So did you make that decision then? Did you sort of say, well, this is where you're going to start with the whole thing? Did you have or did you just sort of dive straight in and?
We, I think both my brother and I have a tendency to just kind of hop right into things. If we see something that we think is worth putting our effort and our time into, we go for it. We unfortunately don't have a lot of reticence when it comes to that. So, many times to our benefit, sometimes to our detriment.
We're cliff divers.
And we are adventurers and cliff divers by just in our very nature. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what we like to do. We like to go after things. We've always had that kind of spirit. But I think, we did take the time really to look at it from a lot of, because we had a television business that was doing pretty well.
Yeah. So did you keep that going?
Projects going. We
shut it down.
We pretty much shut it down. Yeah, I mean, we still have
Really?
projects. We still talk
Yeah.
to networks. We still kind of play around ideas with networks, and if something is great, we'll go. We'll work on it. But it just doesn't. Not that it doesn't hold the passion for us anymore, but it doesn't hold our focus at all.
Right.
Our focus has been on this, and we made that decision about 2.5 years ago that we were going to throw everything into this.
So did you sit? So what was the sort of lead up to that? Because I speak to quite a few people, and there's different opinions as to if you have an idea, just close off your plan B and just go straight into it. Did you sit down and say, okay, look, we need to decide whether we're going to go full time into this and stop the acting side?
We did.
Yeah.
How did that?
Yeah, we absolutely we did. We did sit down and we were like, if we're going to do this, it's going to take every bit of thought, every bit of energy, and every bit of time that we have.
Right.
And finance.
And finance.
We needed some capital.
So we need
some
to.
money.
We're going to have to set aside everything else. This is it's going to be this or nothing.
Right.
Or
He can tell you about our first investor.
who's our first? Us?
Yeah. Well, then
Well, I mean, it's a matter of putting your money where your mouth is.
it is. So
yeah.
Our initial, going up there and getting our first haul of chaga.
That was the thing is we needed to put together a company. Initially, we were thinking we were going to put it in Washington, state of Washington, because it was closer to the source. But then nobody's family wanted to move, so we ended up saying, okay, fine, we'll do it in California, which is the highest barometer for clearing a consumable in the world. If you can make something in California, it's accepted anywhere on the planet. So we didn't necessarily know that was the case going in. We knew, it's California, the regulations are tough. We had no idea.
Right.
But how actually tough they would be. But we knew we were in for something. But I was at the time taking care of my grandmother, who had Alzheimer's, and she was in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, and I was her caregiver and healthcare proxy, and I remember her saying to me, "You look like you're doing really well. You seem much better," because my liver was working again, and she was like, "You're doing good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, Grandma, it's this mushroom that we're working with, and we're trying to start a company with it." And she's like, "Well, whatever you need, you can have." And I'm like, "Grandma, don't make that offer." She's like, "No." She's like, "This is me talking. Whatever you need, you can have." I'm like, "Well, truthfully, we need to go get a bunch of mushrooms." So she's like, "Well, how much do you need?" And I'm like, "We need $75,000. And she's like, "Okay, I'll write you a check." And my grandma literally gave us the first $75,000 to start this company. And I went to Prem and I'm like, "Grandma gave us 75 grand. We need to look at this from the right perspective, that we need to say we're going after it." And
Right.
So we did. At that point, we shut down our offices for our production company, and we got Doug on board, and we said, "Look, we need to go to Alaska. We have the Harvesters that were our cast for the show. We have them all. We have all their phone numbers. We're going to go up there. We're going to buy as much chaga as we can from them. Let's go up there and get 2,000 pounds of it, bring it back down, and start a company." And he's like, "Well, all right, let's do it."
Yeah, because I think right from the beginning we pretty much figured that the key to our success in this was going to be supply.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said earlier, not an easy thing to find, and not an easy thing to harvest, and if no matter how great your product is, if you don't have the raw material to facilitate
And
that,
if you don't
then
have,
it's pointless.
and if you don't have the relationships to get the raw product, so
Right.
they already established
So
those relationships.
that was our key right from the beginning, was to establish a strong supply side.
Right.
So that's what our first step was. Our first step was to lock in our harvesters, lock in
Right.
our supply, and then we can go from there.
Right.
And we truly did rent a
Rent a
truck,
U-Haul.
a
We
U-Haul.
rented
With two
U-Haul.
seats,
But
Doug had to sit in the middle.
I have to say,
on a pillow.
I have to say this.
You tell the story.
Because
This is
went-
your
went-
story.
It is my story, and I'm going to say this. I think I got extra points in the company for this one.
We did. We gave him extra percentage of the company for having to do it.
Okay, so there was no more trucks to rent that had a bench seating, and we had to go a couple thousand miles in a very short amount of time.
In February.
In February.
Yeah.
Okay, and mind you, I wore fashionable shoes, and they didn't really keep me warm. I just wasn't really prepared. I looked. These guys
Yeah,
were.
Alaska clothes.
We've been out filming in those kind of circumstances.
Yeah, I had
all the
Alaska
time.
clothes.
We kind of
I had my Gap
he
jacket.
would know what you're supposed to wear then.
I had my Gap jacket
Yeah, not
with a
so much.
scarf and some cool Nikes with thin socks. I was like, oh, you're idiot, dude. You're an idiot. So anyway, so I'm hyped. You know, we're gonna do this. Let's try it. I'll drive around with these guys, listen to music, we'll talk. We actually don't get sick of each other. I mean, I don't think we've ever really gotten in a fight other than just our passion about something. But they're like, okay, so we got a problem. Oh, but there's no trucks? There's one truck left. But it's only got 2 seats.
Got fucking seats.
There was no seats, so we had to go. We took the thing back to the hotel. I sat on his briefcase. We took 2 or 3
We
pillows
took
out of
the
the hotel.
pillows out of the hotel and built a seat out of hotel pillows.
But mind you, it's okay for like going down the street or going to Home
Yeah.
Depot. Not driving around 1,000 miles up through Valdez and up through the Fairbanks Plateau.
Yeah.
And-
We drove
And
literally.
even at my height and with the pillows on, I was still way below that, and it was just like this the whole entire time.
Oh, there's a moose. He's like, where? Looking over the dashboard.
So I had to share that. I don't know what relevance other than like,
But
you know,
we-
what, even in that circumstance, we adapted to the situation.
We did.
And, you
We
know,
filled the entire back of that U-Haul with Chugga though.
yeah, the
We did.
whole.
We had
The whole thing.
like in
From a
plastic
12-year-old
From
bags.
the first one we got it from was this 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And we pulled off the side of the road.
We did. We
Talked to his mom.
Yeah, we talked to his mother, and because actually when we were going up there, we knew a couple people that we were going to meet, but a week beforehand, we put an ad in Craigslist Anchorage and said anyone who has Chugga for sale, we're going to be there, we'll buy it.
Right.
So the first person who contacted us was a mother on behalf of her 12-year-old son. And we went up there, and he had been harvesting in the area around their house, and he had 100 pounds for us, and we bought 100 pounds for $1,000 from him. And this was the first time this kid had ever seen $100 bills in his life, and his eyes just were like, bling! He's
But
like,
you know, but he
"Oh my God!"
turned into an instant businessman. He goes, all right, so if you guys need any more, you got my number, right?
Yeah.
He really did say that, and we
Yeah.
took pictures. We have footage. We're like,
Yeah.
well, this is our first sale. This is our first sale.
It's hysterical.
You know,
So you went out there with bags of cash buying.
We did. We went up there with a
I
big
mean,
old envelope of cash
yes.
and bought. You know, we got 1,800 pounds, and it cost us. It cost
basically
us.
a ton of chugga.
It cost us $36,000 to buy it all, and we then took it and we brought it to a depot in Anchorage, got it all, and we put it all on a couple of pallets and boxed it all up and shrink wrapped it all and sent it down to LA, and sent it down to a friend's warehouse down here, and we didn't realize that, you know, when Chugga's wet and you ship it by boat, then it starts to mold. So it got down here. The first thing we realized is, oh my God, it's starting to mold. So we spent 5 days sitting outside this
12
warehouse,
12 days.
Sorting.
12 hours sorting, finding pieces that were okay, cutting with a freaking bandsaw, grinding off pieces, getting rid of all of it. We lost like 175 pounds of it to mold. And I still have a picture of the buckets full of it that we lost. And we're like, ah. But we saved the rest of it. We put it on racks in the top part of
we
the.
learned.
We learned. It was the
Right.
first thing we learned. Make sure that at the supply side, at the harvest, the first thing that they do is dry it.
Chugga.
Dry it out. Cut it up into pieces and dry it out before it ever gets shipped anywhere. So that's been one of the
Yeah, we
first
changed
things that
moisture
we
for it
learned
all.
the hard way.
That was backbreaking work.
It was, but it was one of the first things that we learned the hard way. And you know, and we've basically hit every the chaga mushroom grows only on the birch tree, and we've hit every branch on the birch tree on the way down. And that's, but that's kind of, that's the learning curve when you're trying to make something that really there's no precedent for.
Right.
That it had not been done. A company like this had not been put together to try and mass produce a product that could be brought to the market.
And in this form.
Yeah, in this form. So it was definitely, there's a host of challenges that went along with it. And I can say that 99% of the time we've taken them on willingly. The other 1% of the time it's been, wanting to pull my hair out or just say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to go live on a beach in Hawaii and forget about all this.
Right.
And, and I will say that since the very beginning, what has kept us going and what has gotten us through the roughest patches that we've been in has been our people,
our feedback, our emails, our reaching out to our, we hand out so many business cards at this thing, and then next thing you know, or a post on Instagram, you know what, this was going on, this going on, this going on, this going on, and I haven't been pain free for a certain amount of, ones happen to be some digestive issues. I can't think of the last time that I was pain free for more than a couple of days, and now it's been a week, and now it's been 10 days, and now it's been this, and every day we get another one. Our reactions from people have kept us going. Without question, we are helping people. We know we're helping people, and the fact that we are, and the fact that they give us their thank yous is what keeps us alive.
Right.
Without question.
I mean, if that's your motive and that's your passion. Monetary is wonderful. You obviously want to take care of your family and whatnot, but that's not our motivation.
No, at this point we've spent $1 million, and we certainly haven't made it back.
Yeah. So how
we're just going to market.
Did you then go on and get further investors outside your aunt?
We brought in on a couple of investors, just really close friends.
Yeah.
We've kept it really tight to the vest.
Yeah.
It's been very important for us to maintain not only the integrity of our product, but also the integrity of the people that are working with us.
Right.
We want to make sure that the people that are along for the ride are people that actually believe in what we're doing and are committed to doing it the right way. So that's been very important for us. I think, we talked initially to a few VC groups and things of that nature. Whose only interest was to, okay, let's get the companies from sales the first couple of years to see if we can dump it and make a profit when it's high and then move on. And we're like, that just holds no interest for us at all. I know for a lot of people, they get into business and they want to be able to just, make the bottom line, or they want to be able to make great profits.
Thanks, but no
this
thanks.
has been more for us. Yeah. This means a lot more for us than that.
Yeah.
If that were the case, we would have just stuck with TV. We're making great money there.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
This has been about a lot more than that. And I think, I think that sense of purpose that we have with what we're doing is going to allow this to continue to be successful well into the future. We're always going to find a way to make sure that this company is successful because we care so much about it.
Right.
Yeah. We started it as an S corp, not a C corp, and that means that it's going to stay a family company and a privately held. It's going to be a privately held company.
Right.
This is not. We didn't come out to make a product to sell it to Coca-Cola.
Right.
That was never the plan, and that's never been the plan, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
We're about making the best product possible,
Yeah.
and doing it because we care.
Right.
Frankly.
And how did you go about, and are you going about then getting? It's a great product. It's a great secret as the mushroom itself. But how do you go about then getting that to the masses? And I guess everything that entails in terms of distribution, marketing, sales. How are you going to let more people know about that? And what have you found?
That's really our greatest challenge, because we're fighting two fights. It's not just about telling people about our awesome product. It's also educating them on the mushroom itself.
Right.
Like somebody comes out with a great soda. Everyone knows what a soda is. It's really easy to say, oh, okay, I'll take out that brand of soda versus this brand of soda.
Right.
Yeah. There's not another product out there to break ground for us. So we're really, especially on our raw material, there's starting to be more awareness about the mushroom itself, but it's still really kind of new in terms of people's knowledge.
Right.
So we're having to educate people about what the mushroom is, get people past the weirdness of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to drink a mushroom, which a lot of people feel is kind of a strange thing. And then we have to educate them about why our product is the best chaga mushroom product available on the market.
Right.
So we really have a kind of a dual challenge to take on, and it's not one that we're afraid of, certainly, but it's definitely one that's going to have to take some creativity to get past.
And you're a part of that. Like when you came in, I remember I gave you the whole spiel. But here's the thing: we have to. I feel obligated, and I want to. I have to tell every person. You can't just stick this in your bag at a festival or at a Fit Expo. And it's wonderful exposure, and you get a lot of people, and they're excited just to get free stuff. To be honest with you, but I wasn't gonna let something this great and this awesome just go in their bag.
Yeah.
I mean, that was me personally. I was like, no, and I have to educate you, but you get them excited about that, and then I will say this. Let's say that it was giveaways, and we gave away 3,000 shots. I will say this: 2,800 people drink it in front of us.
Yeah.
Because once we explain it to them, I'll take it right now. You know what I mean? So that grassroots. So what you're saying, like, how do we get out? That was our first thing.
Yeah, direct engagement.
Festivals and Fit Expos.
Grassroots awareness is the first focus, and at the same time, in terms of our marketing, a lot of that is brand ambassador. So if you can't talk to 1 million people, find somebody who has 1 million people that listen to them.
Right.
And we have been fortunate enough that we have friends, and we also have people that we have known for a long time who have made it within the film and television world and have developed huge followings. So when we set out to say, okay, how are we going to get the word out? The first people that we approached were our friends who are famous. We said, okay, we'll give you, let's try the product. If you love it, then we're going to give you a little piece of the company, and you'll be a brand ambassador for us. So we have several people that we have shot commercials with, that we've shot content with, that are good friends of ours. Clayton Crawford is the star of Lethal Weapon. He plays Martin Riggs on Lethal Weapon, and that's show is just exploding right now. Our friend Sean Ferris, who was originally the star of Never Back Down, and he's been in over 30 films. He's a huge film star, huge overseas in Asia because he's a martial arts competitor. And then one of the biggest cosplayers in the world, actually the queen of cosplay, Yaya Han. She's a friend of ours for a long time and was also cast on one of our shows, Heroes of Cosplay, that was on Sci-Fi for 2 seasons. And she's been a good friend of ours, and she absolutely loves it. So between the 3 of them, we're talking about millions of fans.
Right.
One of Doug's good buddies, who's Jesse, was the star of Biggest Loser UK, and so Jesse's
on the American version as well.
He's on the American version as well. So he's the lead trainer on Biggest Loser UK, is where he started, Jesse Pavelka, and he's on board as one of our brand ambassadors. So we've built a group of people who have massive influence out there through the social media world, and they are our ambassadors to the world.
Right.
That list is growing now, and we've added Inspired Muscle Media, who we're working with, and there's one of their bodybuilders is one of the most successful and prolific bodybuilders in the world, and has won multiple awards, and he's massively popular, and that's Kai Green.
Okay.
And so we're now working with Inspired Muscle and Kai Green as one of our brand ambassadors moving forward.
Right.
So the process has been the same with all of them, which is let us get you the product. If it works for you, then
you're excited about it.
You're excited about it. Then you're going to want to share it with everybody, and they'll listen to you.
Right.
And so as we start to push our marketing into its monetized phase, because we have not yet put any money behind that. There's been posts here and there and stuff like that, but that's just us going, hey, coming soon. And as soon as we plug the money into that and it starts going out to the millions of fans and followers that our brand ambassadors have, that's going to drive our knowledge.
Right. Yeah. So the marketing, or the route to market is get with the influencers and via social media to get them to talk about the product.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, traditionally you'd say buy a bunch of commercial spots, right?
Right.
I mean, that's a traditional, whether it's in publications or on television, but that model's changing drastically.
Right.
Yeah, and TiVo didn't help that at all.
No.
Initially TiVo, and then now streaming services. I mean, if you were to go from 20 years into the past to today, you wouldn't recognize the media world. It's so different, and it affected us in television, and it's affecting us now in this as well.
Yeah.
You can't look at it just a traditional pathway towards marketing your product. It just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
You know.
And would you say that's the same for most businesses that are now starting? You know, any consumer brands would be, having to think about a different way of marketing now. Would you say?
I would say that 15 years ago, if you were starting a company that had a consumer brand consumable or ingestible, you might have put 10% of your marketing toward the internet, maybe. Now, it better be 75% or you're not going to get anything done.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
You need to adapt to that. And if you go to an advertisers convention, if you go to Chicago, right? If you're on Madison, or if you're on, if you're in New York and you sit down with advertisers, they're going to sit there and go, well, the model has changed, and there is still obviously a huge place in television advertising to be able to make inroads, but that particular facet of it cannot be the way you market something unless you're really going toward the infomercial and you want to land in infomercial world, which there are people who have been incredibly successful in that, but usually the way they do that is by getting one huge spokesperson and by having a product that is not necessarily unique, but that plays upon the successes of previous products and tweaks it just slightly, and then puts together a really solid marketing budget to throw it out there on every single television for 3 hours a night on 5 different QVC stations. That's kind of how that goes. And that's definitely a route, but it's not the route we wanted to go.
Yeah.
Well, definitely a gamble.
We looked at a lot of different routes in which to take out our and get our awareness out there. We talked about doing infomercials. We talked about television buys, but I mean, ultimately, just spreading the awareness through a grassroots campaign, a more direct integration with our ultimate customer base.
I will say this too,
I think which is the way to go for us.
Like followers and influencers, but like we have real followers, like the people that are on our page, like they actually pay attention to what we're doing and what we're posting, this and that, opposed to like you can buy followers, you can buy people, and this is, I mean, like we worked hard, to get the people that we have, but
they're all passionate about the product. They're engaged.
They're all users.
Yeah.
They're all users.
Really? I mean,
and that's the thing is
people have tried it and loved it.
Yeah, we know that word of mouth is what's going to drive our product. We know that. So it's a matter for us of having as strong a grassroots campaign with the right co-partners that we're working with, like Spartan. We have a great relationship with Spartan. We're on board and sponsoring some of their races. So the OCR World endurance racers are fantastic for us because it increases their ability to run. So we're working with 4 of the most elite Spartan athletes in the world, and they're all going to be in the Olympics in a couple of years. And that's a fantastic avenue for us to get to those people, because they notice the impact right away. If you're an elite athlete and you are able to bring your best time down by 1.5 minutes
on the second day,
it makes a huge impact. You're like, holy crap, that's the best time I've ever run. If you just ran your best time ever, you're going to go, what did it? Yeah. And then you're going to tell people about it, because everybody listens to those people.
And when you're so fine-tuned, like a Kai agree, like everything that's going in, everything that's going out, every calorie, this particular protein, this and that, and when you make one change and there's a change in your performance on the higher end, you know what that change is. So that became niche for us. I will say this, I know that you want to talk about this, is like, trial and error. Now we started with yoga festivals and whatnot, and they were successful in that, right? Like they were familiar with chaga. They were familiar with this, and
there was a point in time when the state said to us, you guys are moving from cottage industry to processed food registration facility, and you cannot sell your product. And so we've been in 7 months of can't sell your product.
Wow.
So we had initially, that's one of the big hurdles we hit, was that we had established an initial relationship with Erewhon and got the product into them, and they loved it, and we put it on our shelves, and then all of a sudden we couldn't charge them for it. So we've been free-filling their stores for 7 months.
Wow.
Because we didn't want to lose that impact. We didn't want to lose that presence.
Wow. So has that been corrected now, or are you still not allowed to sell it?
Well, as of today, believe it or not, as of today, we just got the news that we passed our challenge study. We passed it with flying colors. So We have our final inspection with the health department next week, and we anticipate that within 2 weeks we'll be able to sell nationwide.
Wow. Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
After a long time, we'll be able to sell it nationwide.
All right. So until then, really, you've just been giving the stuff
We've
away.
been giving it away. So that's how you met us at Idea Fit. That's how you met us at Fit Expo. We're giving it away.
Yeah.
You know, because we're allowed to give it away for test purposes
Yeah.
and for sampling purposes.
Yeah.
But we have not been allowed to sell it.
Wow.
So we've been manufacturing. We've got guys working back there in a factory, you know, taking a salary and making money, and we've been giving it away.
So you've had to convince your investors to stick with you.
Well, luckily we're our investors, so
Right. Okay.
for the most part, yeah. And like I said, they're very close friends and family. So it's been like I said, they had to have been willing to go on this journey with us.
Yeah.
And know that we're not looking at this year or next year. We're looking at the long term,
Yeah.
the long term of where this company's going,
And
what
they've
it's
seen-
doing,
they've seen the
and believe in
progression.
that.
Yeah.
So it's been. I mean, I'm not going to say it hasn't had its moments of doubt and
Yeah.
and
Oh,
nail
shit.
biting. A lot of nail biting, but we persevered.
Yeah.
We persevered. We've
So-
had to stick through it.
So let's talk about the mushroom itself then. So what you talk about the performance enhancing benefits. So give us a rundown of a few of the key things that this thing here does if you ingest it in that formula that you've developed.
Well, I think the first and foremost is that in terms of for athletic performance, it increases your vascularity. So it increases the blood flow throughout your body, which has a host of benefits. That works as an anti-inflammatory. It works as an energy booster. It works as an endurance booster, right? So the increased blood flow throughout your body also allows for chaga's other benefits to come into play. It is an immune system booster, and the way it works is it gets in with your immune system and optimizes it to recognize anything that is an exterior pathogen and or anything that is foreign to your body. So the fact that you've got more blood, the fact that you've got more white blood cells and it's passing through your body in more places allows you to be able to further target anything within your body that shouldn't be there. Secondarily, that works in terms of detoxification. If you've got more blood flow throughout your body and it's working better, you're then healing your body faster.
Right.
And therefore you're able to address the areas of greatest need. So a lot of it comes from that increased vascularity,
Right.
and it works as much the same way that beetroot would work as a basal dilator. But whereas beetroot just is a basal dilator, this is a basal dilator for many other reasons. In other words, that's its Trojan horse.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool, I'm going to open up your blood and then do all of this.
Right.
So
I think you coined it the best. It's a personal mechanic.
it is. So the World Health Organization has recognized it as the world's most powerful antioxidant. It has 1 gram of that mushroom has the same antioxidant capacity as 6 pounds of blueberries or 8 pounds of pomegranate. It is a phenomenal antioxidant. So they've named it the most powerful antioxidant. It's also been named by the World Health Organization as the world's most powerful adaptogen.
Which
And
is
adaptogen means that it has the widest range of possible beneficial effects, right? So we like to look at it as a mechanic. What a mechanic does is it takes your car and it goes in there, figures out what's wrong, and it gives it a tune-up. And that's what this does for your body. So
It's a daily tune-up.
It is a daily tune-up for your body.
Right. And is there any side effects to taking that then?
If you have a mushroom allergy, unfortunately, you can't use it.
Yeah.
So we do say that. The secondary that we've noticed is, well, and this goes with the Russian recommendations, which is if you are in danger of a stroke and you're taking a potassium inhibitor like warfarin and or any warfarin or Coumadin to help you deal with the possibility of a stroke, you can't take it because the mushroom has a high level of potassium and it's going to make the medicine that you're taking null and void, right? You're taking a K inhibitor and all of a sudden you start shoving a bunch of K in there, it's going to have an opposite effect to the medicine. The the contraindication that we know is for anyone who is taking cyclosporin because they're in preparation for or immediately after organ transplant. So if you're going to get an organ transplant, you give you cyclosporin to knock down your immune system so your body doesn't kick out the new organ. If you take chaga, it's going to regulate and boost your immune system. So obviously, it's working in directly counterproductive to cyclosporin's activities. Then as well, we say that for anyone who is pregnant or nursing, or for any baby under the age of 2, the native Inuit peoples do not give it to anyone who is pregnant, nursing, or under the age of 2 because they believe that you should have a fully operational immune system. Babies' immune systems have not been developed yet. Therefore, the Inuit stay away from it. If the Inuit who have been using it for 7,000 to 8,000 years stay away from it, we don't want to contradict them. So we take their word for it. Don't take it if you're pregnant, nursing, or if you're a 2-year-old baby.
And what do you think people will say? Because it's quite a new thing. You'd obviously get the people that are willing to try anything, looking for the latest, greatest thing. But what about the people who are on conservative side? As there probably hasn't had time to have all that testing done. How would people like that sort of approach something like this? Obviously there are benefits. I've tried it, but I guess people want to see the research before they go.
The skepticism.
Yeah.
It comes on many different levels. I think, even skeptics that are ingesting everything from crazy energy drinks with, high amounts of caffeine that are still find it weird to drink a mushroom.
Yeah, well, I would say that there has been an enormous body of research.
Right.
The research in the United States is not as in depth. It's not as well known in the United States. But if you go to our website, you're going to find links to 355 different studies that have been done in Russia. You're going to find links to.
Well, we don't have links to all of those studies on our site.
We don't know because many of them have not been translated.
In Russian, and we don't know. We don't speak
But the body of work that is being done on it is growing. You could also go to the Sloan Kettering Cancer Memorial site and look on their site, and they have a body of research on the chaga mushroom. Tufts University in Boston has done multiple research studies on it. And there's one that's ongoing in University of Hamburg in connection with the University of Helsinki. That is a phenomenal study that's currently ongoing. University of Seoul, South Korea has an ongoing study. University of Tokyo has one that's been going for 12 years that has had incredible results.
Right.
So those studies are out there, and you can find links to them on our website. If you really want to dive into the research, you want to be a skeptic, we welcome it. Because we, as much research as you're going to do, we do 10 times that amount because it's our job. Right? So in regards to that, we welcome it. We welcome the challenge from anybody because that's a challenge that we take on a daily basis ourselves. If there's any new research out there that's being done, we pay for deep dive, right? We paid for the highest level of subscription on deep dive to be able to get any new research that's done because obviously we can't pay for all that ourselves. As we move forward as a company, we're going to be building an R&D center to continue the research on it, and we'll be able to be much more comprehensive in regards to the specific benefits of our product and our process and of the mushroom itself. So that's something that we're going to be able to invest in, but that's growth for the company, and that's the future. Up until now, we have relied upon the universities across the world that have done those studies, and we do have links to those on our website.
Okay. So just to finish off then, I've got a couple of questions for you guys. You can take it in turns who wants to answer these. But number one then, so what would be the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'll say the best piece of advice that I've received was from these two guys, and it was when we were at our first festival, and I was down to about $8 in my personal bank account, and I had bills coming up, and we were out at this yoga festival out in the desert, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the hell we were doing there and why I had risked a successful television company and my grandma's inheritance money and everything else. And I went and I sat down in the tent because we were sleeping in a frigging tent. And I was literally, I could not understand it. I came to that nadir, that lowest point where I was ready to give up. And these two guys came into the tent with me and sat down and they said, you have to believe. You have to believe that we're doing the right thing because we are. And you have to know that all of the risks that you've taken and everything that we've done is for the right reasons, because they are. And that's the best advice I've ever gotten.
Do you read or listen to podcasts, and if so, what are you reading or listening to?
I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan.
Okay.
He's just, first off, we are all three monster MMA fans.
Right.
So that's where I came to know Joe, or I think he was on that comedy show before. But he's got a vast knowledge, and he kind of thinks on the same mindset that we do, and he's a big fan of mushrooms, obviously cannabis too, but like somebody that, he's opened Pandora's box, and he knows the benefits for his own self, and he talks about it extensively. He's had the mushroom greats on there, like Paul Stamets and some of the other guys, and you can sit there and just listen for hours. It is the holy grail, and he does it in a way that he's an approachable person. He's like a guy's guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't give you any bullshit, and this is what's up, and this is what's going on. So if you want more in-depth knowledge, you can go to his podcast. He's got plenty of mushroom casts on there. But yeah, between that and the MMA, I'm a big fan of his.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, how much time do we have? I think the advice that I give my younger self is to try to look at every facet of something before going for it. And it's not necessarily with the mushroom, even though it does come into play with this, is that you see, when you attack something, you usually look at what you want to see in it, but also look at what the things that you don't want to see in it, and give them the same due respect, and the same credibility in your mind, because they're going to come back and hit you.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So you have to be ready for them, or have to be at least aware that they're there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of time you just go in trying to make it look as you want to for that moment.
It's really easy to see it the way you want to see it.
And I suppose if you're a little bit entrepreneurial, it's just that is the nature, diving in head first and just kind of believing it, as you
see
said.
That big shiny gem, you're like, I can get there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other things that can go along with that you have to be aware of, and you have to make sure that you're always paying attention to. Because it's really easy to get focused on one goal and ignore everything else.
But having your passion, we're passionate about it, and it draws people in. And again, it doesn't have to be with the mushroom. When we were hanging out at bars, we just drew the guys wanted to hang out with us, and the girls wanted to date us. It was a fact. We just always drew that in.
We'll leave that out.
but I'm saying,
yeah,
it's the truth. If you generate that passion as a group, it goes into our business as well.
Yeah. But I would say that his ability to look at all facets and not be blinded with a singular vision is one of the reasons why he's steering the ship.
Yeah, very true.
He's not half empty guy. He's half full. And how do we do this?
And I guess it's good that you kind of have different characters with different perspectives on things.
Yeah, we're a very different group. All three of us are incredibly different from each other, yet we share a lot in common. We share the similar goals, and I think as a group we really round each other out.
Right. Yeah.
Finding if you want to start a company, I would say to my younger self as well, don't fill a company with people like you.
Right.
Fill a company with different skill sets and different personalities that all still want to work towards the same goal, because then you'll have, I think, a lot more success.
How do you juggle changing the world with living a life?
I'll let you know when we get there.
Yeah,
this has been pretty much our lives, literally, for the last 2.5, 3 years, almost every day, all day.
I would say
it's tough.
Yeah, I would say that it's more difficult for him than it is for any of us, because he's got a family.
Right.
For me, I find my joy in my work. If I had to spend every single day in the factory, I probably wouldn't say that. But it's really awesome to be able to go out to events, meet people, and have the adventures that we have. I've lived a life where I had adventures for a living my whole life. That's what making documentaries, and shows for Discovery Channel, every day was an adventure. So it's always been easy for me to find those adventures in my everyday life that is part of my work, right? And I think that that's what's important. Is you may not have, if you're an entrepreneur and you're as focused as we are on getting to a goal, you're not going to have as much time for your personal life. So you better find a way to make your work an adventure so that you can enjoy it.
It's true. We are exhausted after we do these things. We put 100%, like you entrepreneurs out there, 110 is not even good enough. It's got to be 150%, 200%.
Yeah.
And we put everything into it. Like it's less of a physical depletion. It is a full on mental. Like when we left the last festival, I was just in my car and you guys were loading up and all that stuff. And I'm sitting in there and I was talking to my girlfriend, and then she said, "Wow, you got a lot of energy. Those are long days you guys are doing." And I said, "Yeah, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." I just don't want to talk right now. I love it. Can I just call you back?
Shut down.
They're like, come pick us up. I'm coming right now. You put everything into it, and then we reboot back up, and we're back at it the next day. But you have to put your passion, your heart, your drive, our money, our family's money. I mean, we've done all that. We put it all. When they say eggs in one basket, we just had a bunch of different eggs.
We did.
But we put them all in one.
And I will say that, on my end, a lot of it, it comes down to being able to sacrifice for each other. So there have been times, if there are times when one of us needs to do something or have something within their life, then it's up to the others to pick up the slack. His father, is older, and he just had to leave town to go see his father. So, but there's no way that during those days when he's gone, that the slack isn't getting picked up. That he's got, my brother's got a family, he's got 2 kids, and he's never going to be the kind of father who's gone for 3 months at a time, whose kids don't grow up with a father there. So if I have to make a sacrifice in order for him to be there with his kids, that's what I'll do. And it's about being able to pick up the slack for each other.
About working as a team. We've always worked as a team, and that means also stepping up for your teammates.
Yeah, it's kind of like no questions asked type of thing. It's just like, if you got to hear, you just know. You don't have to ask. Okay, got you. Do you need this? Got you. Okay, cool. This and that, whatever.
So what do you guys do to unwind? You've obviously got sounds like it's a pretty full-on business at the moment, as it is for anyone, I guess, trying to start a business.
My day doesn't start without a hike every morning.
Is a
hike.
Hike?
Yeah, I get out first thing in the morning after I drink my shot of Chagit.
What time do you go out for that?
5:30.
All right.
So it's 5 miles every morning, and I think it allows me to unwind. It allows me to get my head straight for the day that's coming up. It allows me to get into physical exercise, because I think all of us are very physical people. We love getting out and doing things. If I'm not doing it, I'm either at the beach or I'm snowboarding, or it's always physical activity.
It is,
without fail.
Outdoors
physical activity of some sort.
We often we'll get together on the weekend, even though we see each other all the time. On the weekends, we'll get together and we'll do some TRX, and we'll do like a little circuit training afterwards. I'll run these guys through a routine after a hike, but we're still doing it together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd think that we'd be sick of each other, but that becomes not business. That just becomes our health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We do that, and then we'll sit there and watch football together for 3 hours, and then it's back to the grind. First thing in the morning at 6 o'clock the next morning. We just repeat.
Get out and play.
Without fail, it's outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something outdoors.
Outdoor sports always. Athletics and outdoor sports are unwind.
Yeah.
I think it goes with just leading a healthy, active lifestyle, and I think that's kind of become the focus for us. Beyond just the product and trying to get to other people, it's just leading an outdoor, healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Getting outside and just being active.
And I will also say that for me, meditation has had a big part of it lately, because I stopped using alcohol to unwind. That used to be my unwind, was hit a bar, and I don't do that anymore. So meditation has replaced that.
Right.
And finding a way, and it's not always easy, finding a way to find some peace in your mind and some peace in your heart allows you to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And allows you to forget about what happened that day, leave it in the past, and prepare to wake up the next and take it on. Yeah.
It's good. I would say every podcast I've done so far, is that right, Kevin? They've said meditation as an important part of their.
It's crucial.
That's my hike in the morning. Is my meditation.
That's something I need to get into.
That's my quiet space.
Yeah.
I can just let everything else go away.
Yeah.
So final one then, Escape Your Limits is about overcoming what you've been told to believe is impossible and making it possible. So what would be a memorable example of escaping your own or your collective personal limits? So, doing something beyond what people would think is achievable to do.
I would say this company is a perfect example of that. No one is the limit. None of the three of us has specifically a college education in food manufacturing and or in biochemistry and or in any one of the particular degrees that you're supposed to have to be able to be successful in a company like this.
Yeah.
And yet we have managed to build the beginnings of a brilliant company that I don't think we see any limits to. So I think it's this company is a perfect analogy for that.
Yeah.
Because by all rights, our education is in film and television. His education is in personal training. We shouldn't be doing this company. This should be, well, you know what, guys? Why don't you take that idea to somebody who does it for a living and let them do it?
Mom, Dad, I'm giving up personal training, all my celebrity clients, and I'm going to make a mushroom drink.
Yeah. Most people would say we're crazy.
But you think crazy,
And
but
sometimes I think I am crazy. But nonetheless, good crazy.
Yeah.
You have to
and there were plenty of people that told us we were off our rocker.
Still.
Trying to go after this.
Yeah.
Still think what are you guys thinking? What are you doing? But, and it's not really trying to prove them wrong. It's just knowing that there's nothing that can stop us from
And
achieving
we are
what
on the
need to
right
get
path. No doubt we're on the right path.
We're absolutely on the wrong path. We're on the right path.
Yeah.
Not the wrong path, the right path.
And apart from maybe something that's in the mushroom that kind of is doing this to you, what do you think? Is that just an internal belief that you're all aligned and you feel you just got that in here, or what? How would you describe going down that crazy route? Because I guess entrepreneurs probably kind of generally do those kind of things, but what if
They
you had
see
to
a
try?
vision and they have to chase it.
Yeah.
They can't
How would
stop
you
till they get
explain it?
I think it's gut and heart. Like, again,
Right.
I was used to having money as well. I had a very lucrative business. It was a 6-figure business, and I wasn't miserable by any means, but I definitely was not happy. And through these times of not having the financial freedom I did, and sacrificing and giving up my own personal place, and to create more time for the company and money, like it's.
I truthfully, I think it comes
I'm
back.
more happy now.
Yeah.
Than the struggle. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's things that are happening that we know this is bigger and beyond us. But just knowing for the last 2.5 years, I have struggled so hard, financially, this and that, just dealing with it. But I am happier after all these crazy weekends. If there's some bad news about this or something like this, I can still go like, I'm doing the right thing. I've never been able to say that before.
I would say what gives us the drive is that we are ultimate underdogs. He's a ginger, and the two of us were Hindus. Okay? So all of us had to fight through high school, and from that age on, we've had to fight for our position in life, and we don't ever give up.
No.
And
Ginger
that's
with
the
freckles and 5'7". Come on.
Born fighter.
That's right. Amen.
And that's what it's about right there.
Yeah.
Born fighters.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got an amazing story, amazing business, and I wish you success. Good way to end. Thanks.
Man, nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a pretty cool story. I didn't know that. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.